Welcome or welcome back to the show. I'm Anna, and you're watching Anna Speaks Out. Thanks for being here. So a couple days ago, I came across a YouTube video that was an interview of an ex-witch and ghost hunter who is now a Christian. And there was a certain part of it that really stood out to me because of a personal experience that I had several years ago with someone who referred to herself as a psychic. So here's that part of the video.
Like you said, I agree that I think that these psychics and these mediums, just like you said, they're talking to familiar spirits. And in the Greek and in the Hebrew, that word familiar spirit means like a household servant. So these are spirits that are in your homes, passed down from generation, and they act like little minions to these witches. And so you go to your psychic and their familiar spirits are able to communicate with your familiar spirits, just like you said, and they can pass that information around. And even when they say, oh, I can see the future and give you predictions, they cannot see the future. Only God can, but they pronounce curses and demonic false prophecies to you. And then we act surprised when they come to pass. It's like, no, you gave a witch permission to curse you. You came into agreement with that. And now that you're shocked that it happened, but we don't see, a lot of people don't understand these realities in the spiritual realm, and they're astonished by parlor tricks, demonic parlor tricks.
Okay, so I don't doubt that what they said could plausibly happen at least some of the time. There are definitely people with bad intentions out there who are, practicing witchcraft and all these things. However, I had a personal experience that just contradicts what was described by this woman as being true all of the time. So it was in 2020, I would take the train to and from work in another city. And one day I was on the train and there was this woman sitting next to me who I would see fairly frequently. She was maybe 15 years older than me or something like that, with a 5-year-old granddaughter. And this one day, she just happened to ask me if I was pregnant. And I told her no. And at this time, I was totally single, that wasn't a thought in my mind at all. Then the lady just confidently and casually smiled at me and told me, oh, you will be soon. I was just like, oh. I don't know what I even said, but in my mind, I was just basically thinking that was out of the blue, unexpected. I don't know what to make of that. And also another interesting aspect of this is that her daughter was named Charity, which is my middle name, and her birthday was August 31st, which is my birthday. So, very interesting coincidences. But if you haven't figured it out already, the reason I'm saying that this contradicts what the woman in the video that I showed you said it being true all the time is because I didn't, ask. I didn't seek out a reading from this psychic. I didn't know that she was a psychic. I didn't even really purposely sit next to her or anything. She just volunteered, and she didn't even volunteer hey, can I give you a psychic reading? I'm pretty sure I would have said no. She just did it, and that was it. So it's not something that I agreed to, invited in, anything like that. And also, she didn't put a curse on me. So I just realized I forgot to mention, but this is a very key element, that she told me I would be pregnant soon, and this was just a month or so, maybe 2 months or something like that, before I met the father of my children. And within less than a year of this woman telling me that I was going to be pregnant soon, I was. I think it was about 6 months or something like that. So, how did that happen if all of these psychics work with demonic forces, and also these demonic forces cannot foretell the future? I could see if it was something where I had been, talking about planning to get pregnant, but that wasn't the case. I wasn't even really wanting to have kids because I thought I was getting too old for that. But yeah, it happened. And it's also not a curse that was put on me, because my child is a blessing, like all children are. And another thing that I think is important to add in here is that I have always had the ability to sense when things are off, like with people or places. For example, I think this is maybe the first one that I remember. My family and I went on a trip to England to visit and stay with some friends of my mom's right before I turned 14. And just being there, at least in one of the cities that we were in, it just felt like there was just a dark presence just over the city. You know, I felt just off in my, like, emotionally, spiritually, you know, something just wasn't right. And I could kind of sense it, like, in my body and my emotions, like, just, you know, sort of like depression and anxiety came over me just from being there. Even though, you know, the overall circumstances of the trip were a lot of fun. Another example is when I was about, like, in my late 20s, I was helping my older sister move, and being at her apartment where she also lived with some roommates, you know, it felt the same type of thing there, just like a dark, kind of heavy, off presence, I guess. And I remember that reading my Bible out loud helped me to feel some relief from that. I think I was reading the Psalms, if I remember correctly. I love that book. And then another example, like, you know, I was in, you know, a good mood one day, and then I go into work, and just like within minutes, I'm just feeling really depressed. And I realized, you know, everybody must be in a bad mood today, like, because a lot of the time I'd have a pretty good time at work. And then last example, just a few years ago, might have even been the same year that this psychic talked to me. My parents came and visited me to see my apartment where I lived, and I felt just so incredibly anxious being around them. That, you know, a very strong anxiety that I didn't have before they were there. And then it turned out that very shortly after that, my mom filed for divorce. So, you know, I think they were really at a breaking point, and I could feel it. And I felt like I needed to get some strong alcohol to have with our dinner. So that's what I did. But, yeah. All of that to say, when this woman who told me that she was a psychic was talking to me, and when I was around her, I did not feel, you know, an uneasiness. She seemed kind and friendly. Even when she said, you know, the thing about me becoming pregnant soon, I don't remember feeling freaked out. I just remember feeling surprised. Surprised and curious. So yeah, I wanted to add that in. So I would just love to know if anybody out there has any, you know, insight or thoughts on this that they would like to share, because I've never been able to explain it within the bounds and confines of, you know, modern day Christianity. So please let me know if anybody has any thoughts on this. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. If you have not already, go ahead and follow me on Instagram at AnnaSpeaksOut17, and on Facebook, where my username is Anna Charity. Thank you again so much for being here. Please click the thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't yet, and share it with somebody else who would also enjoy it. Thanks again so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. God bless.